Hello, everyone, and welcome back to True Crime with Kendall Rae. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're new to the show, then welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. And man, I just realized that I am looking a lot like this polar bear. Do you see this, people? My son is huge. Not only that, I also have a Diet Coke. Anyway, you guys, the case that I'm going to be talking to you about today, I am beyond surprised that one, more people aren't talking about it, and two, that I had never heard of it. This case absolutely needs more coverage because we're going to be talking about the murder of Christine Holloway and the abduction of her 14-month-old daughter, who is still missing to this day. And there is a chance that she is out there somewhere. This case is just heartbreaking in every way, absolutely devastating. And it's been 6 years since it occurred. And the fact that baby Vanessa is still out there, would no longer be a baby at this point, is really eerie to think about, but a very real possibility. And I just feel so badly for Christine's family, who still doesn't have answers about where Vanessa is. I really hope through this episode today we can offer their family some support. In fact, my team and I are going to be reaching out to their family and see if there's any way that we can help through my foundation, Higher Hope. And speaking of Higher Hope, I need to thank today's sponsor, MIDI Health, which, it's sponsors like MIDI Health that make it possible for us to offer families Hope Grants. So for many years, I was a shell of myself. I was feeling horrible every single day, and I would go to a variety of doctors over the years, and pretty much all of them just told me I was stressed. And I felt so gaslit and felt like I had no one to turn to. That is until I found the right doctor who gave me the right tests. And it turns out that I had a chronic illness that explained all of my symptoms. And it turns out I wasn't just stressed or crazy. And there was actually a solution for me. I was able to get help, and it completely changed my life. And that's all thanks to that one doctor who finally really listened and got me the help I needed. During this pregnancy, making sure I have the right team, the right doctors alongside me as I go through this time in my life has been the top of my priority list. And if any of this resonated with you, I wanted to tell you about MIDI Health, today's sponsor, a virtual care clinic built to truly see, hear, and understand women. MIDI Health offers virtual care for matters such as perimenopause, menopause, longevity, weight, mood, memory, skin, and for those who want to take a proactive approach to their health. When appropriate, clinicians through MIDI can prescribe medication, order lab tests, and advanced screenings. And during your visits, they'll even adjust your plan as you go based on your test results. And don't worry, there's no membership, there's no hidden fees. MIDI just bills through your insurance like any other provider. And booking is easy. Create your account, enter your insurance, share your symptoms, and choose a time that works for you. MIDI Health offers excellent care, so you don't have to go about it alone. Go to my link and try midi.com/Kendall Rae to schedule a virtual visit and join the more than 200,000 women who love and trust MIDI for their midlife care. Big thanks again to MIDI Health, and now let's go ahead and jump in. And I want to start, of course, by telling you more about Christine Marie Holloway, who was born on Halloween in 1976 to her parents Deborah and Terry. She was the eldest of 5 siblings, and from a young age, she really developed a knack and passion for nurturing her brothers and her sister. Taking care of others just came easily to Christine, which actually led her to study psychology in college. And she was even the first person in her family to graduate with a college degree. Her loved ones say that she was definitely the golden child, and that she had the most contagious big belly laugh that you'd ever heard. And from what I was able to learn about her, it seems like there was really 2 main pillars in her life. That was family and faith. Christine was Catholic, and she was part of this group called the Columbiettes, which is a women's Catholic organization. And everyone said that she was as patient as a saint. They also all say that she would really do anything for anyone, especially anyone in her family. She was very close with all of them, especially her niece and nephew. Whenever she was off work, especially after work, she would go and spend time with them, and they would puzzle together. Christine was really into puzzling, so that was something they really enjoyed to do all together. And, it's these qualities about Christine that make it So fitting that Christine's job was at a childcare center. She worked at Bright Morning Star Childcare in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where she was known for being an attentive and reliable caregiver for the children that went there. And part of the reason that she worked there was also so that she could spend time with her own daughter when she was there. And her name, like I mentioned earlier, is Vanessa. Now, being a mom was something that Christine had always wished for. And in 2018, that wish came true when she and her boyfriend, Jose Morales, got pregnant with a baby girl. And from the moment that Vanessa was born, it was just obvious to everyone that Christine was destined to be a mom. And that was very evident in the way that she cared for her. Now, as for Vanessa's relationship with her dad, it's safe to say that they were a lot less close. Jose had 2 kids from a prior relationship, and they lived with him during the week at his mom and stepdad's house in New Haven, Connecticut. And then on the weekends, he would stay with Christine and Vanessa at her apartment in Ansonia, which is about a 30-minute drive. The 2 of them met on a dating app a few years prior to 2019, and as a couple, things were pretty turbulent from what I've read. And I'll dive more into that later. But right now, the most important thing to understand is that Christine and Vanessa were totally attached at the hip. And it's also important to know that Christine was really known for her reliability. So much so that when she didn't show up for work on December 2nd, 2019, her boss called the police and asked for a welfare check. The call to the Ansonia Police Department came in at about 1 p.m., and an officer was dispatched shortly thereafter. And for my audio-only listeners, Christine rented out a second-floor apartment of a third-car garage, and right away, the officer noticed that something was a bit strange because it had just snowed the night before, and temperatures were still incredibly low. Yet he could see that 2 of her windows were open, a skylight window as well as a bay window. Yet when he knocked on the door, nobody answered. And there were no sounds coming from inside the house either. And in these winter conditions, the open windows definitely made him wonder and worry. However, because there was no reasonable suspicion, the officer left. And meanwhile, Christine's family also got word that something may have been wrong. Her boss, Rosie, had contacted one of her brothers and her brother's girlfriend, Jody, about the fact that she didn't show up to work. And because they lived nearby, Jody went over there herself to see if Christine was home. And at first, she did see fresh footprints in the snow, which made her wonder if someone had been there. But nobody came to the door, and she didn't hear the sound of anyone behind the door or Vanessa crying or anything like that. So her next thought was maybe they were just still over at Jose's mom's house because they were there for Thanksgiving. So she goes over there. But when she gets there, Jose acted like he didn't know anything about Christine not showing up for work. All he told her was that he saw them that morning around 7 a.m. as she and Vanessa left the house. So Jody's reaction was to call the local hospitals, thinking maybe they had been in an accident. And when that didn't pan out, she ended up just calling the police department to explain their concerns. And of course, we know that a welfare check had already taken place, but thankfully, when they pushed for more to be done, they listened. In fact, after learning from Jody that Christine often spent her weekends with Jose at his mom's house where they lived, they decided to give him a call on a recorded line.
I have a girl here that's saying that she's the sister of Christina Holloway.
All right.
Is that Christina your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay. She's saying that she couldn't contact her all day today. She said that she talked to you today and that you said you saw her leave this morning.
I saw her leave early in the morning to go to work. That's about it.
Who is she with when she left?
24, 23.
Is that your baby as well?
Yes.
But Jose quickly changed his story. He goes on to say that he had only ever spoken to her on the phone and that the last time he had actually laid eyes on her was Friday afternoon.
Okay. Oh, then that is, you guys both left her house together this morning?
No, I talked to her.
Okay, so you talked to her this morning.
Yeah.
At 7 o'clock when she was leaving for work.
Yes.
Okay. When's the last time you saw her then? Friday. I'm trying to find her because everybody's concerned because they haven't talked to her. We're more concerned about, your daughter. Your daughter. How old's your daughter?
She's 1 year old.
Okay, What does she drive?
Mazda Prodigy 2002.
2002 Mazda Protege? What color is it?
Gold.
Gold?
Yep.
Who has the Ford Fusion, do you know? Or the Ford Focus?
No, I don't know.
Does she have another car, a black car?
No, not that I know.
Nothing you know of.
So clearly, the change in story was suspicious to them right off the bat, and Jody even confirmed that he definitely told her that the two had physically saw each other that morning. But that wasn't the only bizarre part about this phone call, because the comment that he made about the kind of car that she drove was weird too. So it turns out that a week before this, Christine had gotten a new car. She got a black Ford Focus, and Jose apparently helped her pick it out. Yet for some reason, he told them that she still drove her old car and that he knew nothing about this other one. Mind you, that Ford Focus was still parked outside of her apartment. So with all of this, around 8:45 p.m., 2 officers returned to the apartment to conduct their second welfare check. They both approached her unit and walked around the immediate vicinity, and one of them even went around the neighborhood to ask if anyone remembered seeing anything. And someone did report seeing Jose hanging around outside earlier that day. And this time, there was enough concern for Christine and Vanessa's safety that the officers decided to just go ahead and kick down the door.
Earlier today, we had a missing person, technically, just to try to make contact with at number 6.5 Myrtle Ave. They came out, they said, nobody's home. She's a mother of a 1-year-old. She always shows up at work. She always contacts us. We haven't heard from her. This is really, really bad. We have a bad feeling. Talked to her boyfriend. Boyfriend says, I haven't seen her. There's a couple windows open on the second floor, which is really odd because obviously it's freezing out. I can't get into the house. I'm going to kick in the door in a minute. Police department.
And as they entered her house, there was a brief moment where things seemed okay, but then within seconds, one of the officers shouted for the other, because there in the bathroom was 43-year-old Christine Holloway's naked body, so badly beaten that they knew they couldn't save her.
What?
What? Holy Get the DV here.
As you can tell in that footage, this discovery was just beyond traumatic. And as soon as her loved ones learned what had happened, they could hardly wrap their minds around it. They could hardly believe that it was true.
And I just remember my husband freaking out. Danielle got a call that they're taping her house off. I collapsed in the lobby, screaming, no. And I remember my husband saying, she's gone. I said, stop saying that. We don't know what's going on. And I'm like arguing with him. And he turned to me, grabbed my hands, looked me dead in my eyes and said, she's gone.
A medical examiner would later determine that Christine had suffered at least 8 blows to the head with a weapon that they believed to be a hammer. However, no weapon was ever found, so that's just a best guess. With or without it, though, they knew that this was not an accident, and so a homicide investigation kicked off right away. But it wasn't just a homicide investigation. There was also a missing person. Baby Vanessa was nowhere to be found. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we still do not know where she is to this day. And while the search for her isn't over yet, I do still have some hope that they will find her. So immediately after the discovery of Christine's remains, investigators began to process the scene, and they quickly realized that it actually didn't look like the attack happened in the bathroom, even though that's where her remains were found. Substantial blood evidence was found in the hallway area, not far from her daughter's crib. However, someone clearly tried to clean it up. And when state police forensically examined the place, they found signs of blood on the walls, the rocking chair, the rug, a container of toys, and also on some stuffed animals, which is just beyond disturbing. There was also a wet, red-stained rag that was found in a bucket under the sink. And that same sink was later determined to have bone fragments in the pipes. Plus, there was a single pink infant's crock that didn't have a matching pair, which also had bloodstains on it. So obviously, this was a really eerie and disturbing crime scene. And something interesting that they noticed, though, was that the rest of the house was relatively clean. Besides 2 overflowing recycling bins that were filled with water bottles and beer cans, both inside and outside, the house was relatively well kept. It wasn't like anything had been stolen. There was even a candle lit. Plus, let's not forget that the front door was locked when those 2 welfare checks occurred, suggesting that whoever left her in there in that condition had to have had a key. And I'm sure you can see where this is going, but Jose, of course, quickly became someone that they wanted to speak to immediately. And so early the following morning, on Tuesday, December 3rd, he was picked up at his parents' house, and he voluntarily came into the police station for an interview. And the strategy here was to not let Jose know that they knew Christine had been killed. They basically said they wanted his help to find her and Vanessa because both of them were missing. And honestly, he sounds pretty incoherent during the interview, but I thought it was important to play some of it so you guys can hear how it went down.
Even though the door is kind of closed, I mean, you're free to leave. We brought you here to talk to you. I understand you're...
I'm free to leave. Where am I going to walk all the way home?
No, we'll give you a ride. I'm just saying you're not held captive here. I'm not like... You're
so
not
why what I came here for?
to talk to you.
About what?
We're trying to find Christine and your kid.
All right, that's exactly what I've been trying to call her too.
So that...
We're in the same page.
Okay, good. I'd rather have it that way. When's the last time you talked to her?
I talked to her, I think it was Monday morning when she was going to work.
So that was yesterday morning, Monday.
Yeah.
About what time?
Early in the morning.
Okay. So that was talking on the phone or in person?
On the phone.
On the phone. Did she say anything? Was there a problem? Was there any kind of issue? No argue?
No.
Did you hear anything in the background?
I didn't hear nothing.
She didn't sound like she was having any problems? Did she sound different?
Well, it was super fast. It's like she couldn't be on the phone.
But just giving you short answers and trying to...
Quick, I probably spoke to her for less than a minute, probably. Quick.
And that's not normal?
That's not normal. Well, it is and it isn't, because sometimes we speak for a while, sometimes it was early in the morning, so...
The fact that this man even remotely tried to say that he wanted to help find them is such a massive load of shit. I learned that during the 38-minute drive to the police station, this guy, not once, not a single time, did he ask about his daughter. Instead, he was talking about how nice the squad car was and how he lived a sober lifestyle. Just listen to this.
We want to find a 1-year-old, and we need your
I
help.
want to find her too.
Well, we need your help. That's the only reason we brought you here.
I mean, because if someone came to my house and said, Vanessa's missing, and it's my 1-year-old daughter.
I'm worried. That's why I keep trying to call my kids.
Jose, the whole right here, you talked about everything but her. The whole right here, you didn't talk about a 1-year-old daughter that's missing. I don't get that.
That's my daughter.
Yeah, we want to find her.
Right.
And the only reason you're here
is to find her.
Is to help us find her.
All right, so let's find her.
So where is she?
I don't know.
His concern was so opposite of genuine. It's very obvious to anyone, I think, that sees this footage. And you could tell that the investigators felt the exact same way. So they decided to question him about the timeline of the weekend. But he stuck to his story about seeing her that previous Friday afternoon.
Did you stay over there this weekend?
No.
You didn't stay over there this weekend?
No.
Do you normally stay over there during the weekend?
Sometimes I do, yeah. Not normally, but sometimes I stay over.
All right. So when's the last time you saw her in person?
Friday.
And where was that?
At my house.
At
Over
your
there
house?
where you picked me up, yeah.
She was there?
Yeah.
Okay, with Vanessa?
Yeah.
Okay. And when did she leave on Friday?
Somewhere in the afternoon around 6, I think.
So at night, evening, like around dinner time?
Yeah.
All right. Did she leave by herself?
Yeah. With Vanessa.
With Vanessa?
Yeah.
So make sure I got this right. She left your house or your parents' house on Friday
Yeah.
with Vanessa.
Yeah.
And you didn't go with her?
No.
So where did you stay over the weekend?
I stayed with my friend Hector.
Hector.
He lives in East Haven.
Now, this whole Hector piece is very important, and it's also verifiable. not to get ahead of myself here, but investigators spoke with him later on, and it was confirmed that they weren't together that entire weekend. Hector actually lied at first and said they were, but then later admitted that Jose asked him for an alibi, asked him to lie. They were only together for part of the weekend, and there were several stretches of time where Jose was unaccounted for. During this interview, though, they didn't know any of that. They had, however, spoken to Jose's stepdad, and he gave them some very important information. He told investigators that Jose told him that he and Christine were going to her apartment together on Friday. He didn't say that he was going to Hector's, yet when he was confronted with this, Jose tried to say that his stepdad was probably just confused.
Jose, when did you go to Hector's house?
Friday.
When Friday?
Friday night.
And when did you come home?
During the day. Not sure.
End of day?
During the day. Not sure what
During
time.
the day.
Yeah.
Jose, did you tell your parents where you went on Friday?
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah. Listen what?
Your dad said you went to Christine's Friday with her. Why would he tell me that?
He said that I went to Christine.
Yes.
Friday, that's why he thought I was.
You said you told him where you went. And if you told him you went to Hector's,
She
you
got
wouldn't
her
tell
own.
me.
She got her own card.
Right, but why would he tell me that you went to Christine's if you told him where you went?
Why would he tell? He probably assumed.
No, you said you told him where you went.
I told who? My father?
Yeah, you just told me. You said you told him where you went.
I told my father where I went.
Yeah, that's what you told me. And that's why I said, why did he tell me you went to Christine's if you didn't?
I told my father that I went to Christine.
That's what you just told me about 30 seconds ago.
I'm not sure. You're missing my words.
Now, as the interview continued, Jose had the audacity to tell investigators that he and Christine weren't actually that close, which, by the way, completely went against everything that Christine's family had to say about their relationship.
We are boyfriend, girlfriend.
You guys are.
Yeah, but we're not that close either. Because she got her own place, she do her own life, she got her own apartment. We're not that close.
Right.
It's like, we have a baby.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like she my girlfriend. We say that, we use that word very lightly.
Yeah.
But we have a baby together. That it happened, so I guess I'm assuming a little bit of responsibility by helping her out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, so we in love with the baby. So we let her come over and stay over our house and holiday and things like that for see the baby.
So you do all that for Vanessa? You don't
Yeah,
do it
it's for
it's not for Christine?
It's not for Christine, it's for Vanessa. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So your family likes Vanessa?
We love Vanessa, yeah. We really don't like Christine. She said she okay, but it's all right. That's it.
The way that this slob did his interviews really made everything so very obvious. That slip up at the end there is really everything, right? To go from, we don't like Christine, to she's okay. And investigators used that slip up to see if he would slip up again when talking about their last contact. And they totally caught his ass in another lie. Remember how he said he spoke to her on the phone on Monday morning? Well, when they asked him to bring up his call log, that specific call wasn't there. They found other calls from that day, but not one from the morning of the 2nd with Christine.
Can you, would you show me the phone call that you made to Vanessa on Monday morning? On your phone, please?
Okay. That's me trying to call her.
You got a whole bunch of phone calls from today. That's
me trying to call her.
Yeah.
Cause I was worried, so I keep trying to call. It goes straight to voicemail.
Did you erase stuff?
I always delete all my. I pretty much delete it. I delete all my calls all the time.
You didn't delete these 7 though.
He also, yet again, lied about what kind of car she drove and continued to deny knowing where the two of them were. And eventually he did ask to leave, which legally they had to agree to. But before he left, they did 2 things. For one, they confronted him with the fact that a witness saw him leaving Christine's place on Monday morning, which went against what he said about last seeing her on Friday. They also took possession of his clothes, which He certainly did not like that. And during that time, they found bruising, swelling, and abrasions on him, which, unsurprisingly, he didn't have an explanation for.
You realize that somebody saw you leaving Christine's house today.
How was that?
It's not important who.
Today?
Well, not Tuesday, Monday. You were at the house Monday, leaving. Where's your daughter?
All right, boss.
Yes.
Now we can go.
We can go. Are you going to bring us? I told him the reason he's here is because somebody saw him leaving the house Monday.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Hold on.
No, you guys taking me home.
Yeah, we're taking you home, but we're taking your clothes first.
After this, they drove him back to Mommy and Daddy's house, where the conversation actually ended up continuing there. And there's footage of it. And during this conversation, the officers decided to share the truth about Christine.
You know where Christine is?
You know what Christine is?
Yes.
Oh, you guys found her?
Yes.
What about the baby?
Christine's dead.
No, what happened to her? What happened to her?
We're looking for
Your
your son to shine the light on our situation that we're working with right now. We're investigating, so I'll let you know this. It's a homicide.
They also confronted Jose about Christine's new car, which he was now saying he knew about all along.
We can't find the car that he says she's always driving. But we know where the car is that you say that she's driving.
The new one?
Yeah.
When I asked you about her buying a new car, you said you knew nothing about
No,
it.
I know about it.
Well, why did you say you didn't know anything
I
about it?
know about it.
Jose, we also just took your car.
The car is gone?
Yep.
And he literally just continues to crash out, to dig himself deeper and deeper into a deeper hole.
I don't know. What you want me to come up with an idea, make something up? What you want me to think? What you want me to say? To just invent a situation? I don't know.
What were you
You
doing
guys
that?
have to break the door in there to get in? Was in her house all day?
I don't know.
What you mean you don't know?
I was at Hector.
When?
How does he not know where he was yesterday? It's not even 24 hours later. How does he not know that?
I say I was at my boy's Hector.
No, you weren't, because you were leaving the house at 1:49.
We have him on video leaving the house, and we also have a
On
witness saying
video?
he was there.
Today?
On
Yeah,
video.
Monday.
There's nothing that I can tell you. I don't know.
Were they in a serious relationship?
Yeah.
Well, he said it was.
Oh, we wasn't in a serious relationship.
They were dating. So he's gonna say you were.
I was at his house. I was at
on
with
Monday.
him. I was with him.
On Monday.
The weekend.
No, Monday.
But you just said you were with Hector on Monday. You said I don't remember what I was doing on Monday.
I was with Hector
now I'm
on
with
the
Hector.
weekend. The weekend.
What about Monday? They're asking about Monday.
Listen, you don't have to answer. And you are putting up a lot of walls.
It's not that a lot of walls.
Yeah, but
maybe my brain
right, so-
is messed up. Maybe I'm not a clear-minded person. No, I FaceTime you from Hector's house, make you believe that I was with her. Did you see her? Did you see anything in the background? You saw my face on FaceTime. I was making you believe that I was at Christine, but because I didn't want you to think that I'm out with my friend partying.
So what were you FaceTiming with? What phone were you FaceTiming with?
With Hector's.
Do you have your phone?
Yeah.
All right, so then you should have Hector's contact.
No.
You should have Hector's contact for
No.
that.
I was FaceTiming with the.
Whoops. But that's not Hector's number.
No. Not Hector. I was FaceTiming my mom.
With Hector's phone, you said?
No, not with his phone. With my iPad. With Isaac's iPad.
So obviously, that iPad was taken in to be examined, as well as both of his cell phones. And shocker, that iPad connected to a Wi-Fi source at Christine's apartment over the weekend. His 2 cell phones also pinged on cell towers near her street. Plus, like I said, a witness reported seeing him outside of Christine's place on Monday morning. And this neighbor said he saw Jose carry something to his car shortly after 1 p.m., which was after the first welfare check. and that the two of them actually stopped briefly to talk about the weather. He said he remembered Jose returning to the house, and then 20 minutes later, he left again, which was confirmed by surveillance video. Jose's car could be seen leaving her neighborhood less than an hour after that first welfare check, which means he was actually likely inside when the officer knocked on the door. And that neighbor wasn't the only witness from that weekend. A different neighbor said that he was almost positive that he saw Jose getting into his car on Sunday, December 1st with Vanessa. And think about it, this would have been one day before Christine was found and after investigators believe she was killed. Because based on their calculations, they think she died early on Sunday morning. And I do feel like the piece about him putting Vanessa in the car seems to get brushed over a lot. What if what the neighbor said he saw is true? That means Jose had an entire day with his daughter that's unaccounted for. And I'll speak more to this later, but like I said in the beginning, I do think it's possible that she's still alive, and this is a big part of that. Also, when Christine's apartment was forensically examined, they never found evidence to suggest that Vanessa got hurt. None of the blood found in the apartment was hers, and also a few of her belongings were missing as well. And investigators have yet to find those items. In a press conference early on, a lieutenant had stated that they were looking for the public's help in finding her. And they're also looking for people to keep an eye out for Vanessa's polka dot blanket, Graco car seat, and gray Eddie Bauer First Adventure backpack diaper bag. These are all belongings that investigators believe may have stayed with her, assuming that she was given to someone alive. And at that same press conference, a $10,000 reward for information leading to her return was announced. And of course, at this point, we all know who investigators are looking at as their primary suspect. It's pretty damn obvious. But of course, there wasn't any concrete proof yet, so they couldn't just arrest him. But they did arrest him for something else. Jose was arrested on December 3rd after they found 2 stun guns in his house during the execution of a search warrant. Turns out he was previously convicted of a felony, so he wasn't legally allowed to have those. And that worked out nice in their favor because this was enough to keep him behind bars until an additional arrest could be made. And in the meantime, they just kept digging for evidence, which wasn't too hard to find. It turns out there were multiple surveillance cameras that captured Jose coming and going from Christine's neighborhood that weekend. And while, of course, all of it is incriminating, there's one specific video that I want to highlight. Just after 6 a.m. on Sunday, December 1st, Jose's car can be seen on Derby Avenue, headed in the direction of St. Michael's Church. He's not seen at the church because there weren't any cameras there, but he is seen going that way. And then, about 15 minutes later, he drives back towards Christine's apartment and is seen stopping at a gas station where he attempts to buy cigarettes, but his card declined. Here's why that matters. On December 5th, investigators got this bizarre phone call from an employee of a nonprofit. It's called Kiducation, and they happen to have a donation bin set up at St. Michael's Church. And the caller tells investigators that while one of her employees was going through the bins, she found several items with blood-like stains on them. And she also found some mail, which was addressed to Christine Holloway. And when she Googled the name, she saw that she had been recently murdered, and she realized she needed to call the police. Isn't that insane? And I just have to say how amazing it is that she actually called, because I feel like we're living in a time where a lot of people would be like, not my business, not my problem, or wouldn't have even taken extra time to Google her name or really look much more at it, maybe just have tossed it aside. I just thought it was really cool that she actually made that call, and crucial to this case. And within 5 minutes of making that call, a team of officers showed up, and man, they found a lot. They found blood-stained children's clothes, toys, pillows, a towel, books, male clothing in Jose's 3XL size, and female adult clothing, as well as a single pink children's crock. And I'm sure a lot of you have already figured it out. That was the matching pair to the single crock that was found at Christine's apartment, the one that had blood on it. And when these items were tested, it was confirmed that the substance was blood and that it was a match to Christine. They also matched her DNA to bloody towels found in Jose's shower, and after processing his car, they confirmed that her DNA was on a large black contractor's trash bag located in his trunk, as well as in other areas inside the vehicle. Even his shoes had a, quote, tissue-like material on them that they linked back to her. Plus, and this is really upsetting to think about, but when they found Christine's body, she actually had some hair in her hand, almost like she had tried to fight off her attacker. And when they tested that hair, who did it belong to? Jose. So the truth was just impossible to ignore by this point, and the discoveries didn't end there. It turns out that back on December 1st, a man had placed a 911 call to the Ansonia Police Department. The call came in around 2 a.m. and, spoiler, it came in from Jose's phone, which pinged at a tower not far from Christine's apartment. And on that call, he can be heard slurring his words, of course, saying Myrtle Avenue, which is the street that her apartment was on. He didn't give a specific address, though, and he really can't be heard saying much else. But when investigators listened to the audio closely, they did hear a woman's voice in the background saying, "Stop, hang up, who are you calling?"
What number house on Myrtle Ave? Where are you on Myrtle Ave? Where are you on Myrtle Ave? What number?
And an officer actually was dispatched to Myrtle Avenue shortly after this, but nothing looked suspicious, so they left. All that to say, this call was just even more proof that Jose was with Christine when she died, and investigators finally felt like they had enough at this point. So, on February 7th of 2020, Jose was charged with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence, and he received a $5 million bond. He wasn't charged with anything related to Vanessa's disappearance, although he currently remains the only suspect there as well. And no surprise here, but on February 18th of 2020, he pleaded not guilty. And no surprise here either, but at this point, he had completely changed his story about what happened to Christine. About 2 weeks after his initial arrest, he ended up telling investigators that he was, in fact, at Christine's apartment on the night that she was killed. But according to Jose, and God, I couldn't even make this shit up if I tried, he claims that he was high on PCP, PCP, and when he was high on the PCP, 2 intruders broke into the apartment. So yeah, you're seeing where this is going already, right? And he goes on to explain that these 2 intruders were the ones who actually killed Christine and abducted Vanessa. That's right, you guys. He told them this crazy story about being high on, quote, angel dust, and how after they broke into the house, one of the men knocked him out, so he wasn't able to protect the girls. And there is more to his tale, which I will get to in a minute. But yeah, isn't that crazy? And he is stuck with this story over all of these years. And he's even used the drugs as an excuse for why he lied initially. He actually told investigators that the drugs made it so he couldn't remember what happened. But as the effects wore off, he started to piece it together. I'm sure all of you agree that this is a load of shit. It doesn't even make sense, not even how drugs like this work. And I know Christine's family definitely doesn't believe him. And sadly, they had to wait years for justice. Despite his arrest in 2020, Jose didn't go to trial until April of 2025. And during that time, the Holloway family just had to hope that he would confess the actual truth. There was even talk about a plea agreement in exchange for information on Vanessa's whereabouts, but nothing was ever agreed upon. And this naturally led to a lot of frustration in their family. And the police were frustrated too with the lack of movement in the case. But his trial did eventually come, and man, we definitely learned a lot. So when it came to the defense's argument, we obviously know the story that they had to spin because Jose really already spun it for them. They had to argue that Jose was high on PCP when these 2 strange men came into the apartment, and they were responsible for the abduction and the murder of Christine. The prosecution, on the other hand, they didn't believe that he was on drugs at all. They argued that there was no evidence to suggest that he took any, and that the only evidence of intoxication at all came from the alcohol that they found in those recycling bins. And FYI, because I'm sure some of you are wondering, the toxicology report showed that Christine had no alcohol in her system at the time of her death, suggesting that Jose was likely the person who had consumed it all. Drunk or not, though, the prosecution argued that he was an abusive boyfriend, and ultimately that a domestic dispute resulted in her murder. They pointed to text messages between the two where he was clearly controlling and manipulative, with the hope that the jury would see Jose for the monster that he is. And as each witness took the stand, the truth got clearer and clearer. In the first few days, there was just a lot of basic testimony, setting the scene and going over the evidence, things like that. And the jury also heard from Christine's boss, the officers who conducted the welfare checks, as well as from the medical examiner. They also heard testimony from Christine's landlord, who happened to be working in the garage below her apartment on Sunday, December 1st. And he spoke about the loud noises he remembered hearing coming from her unit. Apparently, it sounded like someone was moving furniture, which the prosecution believed was when Jose was moving her body to the bathroom and cleaning up the scene. There was also testimony from Christine's neighbor who claimed that he saw Jose outside of her apartment that day as well. But truth be told, at the end of the day, the state didn't necessarily need witnesses or even cell phone data to convince the jury that he was there. I mean, we already know that he admitted to being inside. And to my surprise, this moron decided to take the stand in his own defense. And he also ended up admitting to the tampering with evidence charge.
So after I rolled a bag, I went outside to the front of the apartment to the deck to smoke.
Okay, and what did you do on the front of the deck?
I smoked the bag of dust. When I went outside to smoke, it was around 1 o'clock in the morning. I got super high. I got disoriented. Everything got blurry. I couldn't see clear. I was stumbling. I stumbled my way inside of the apartment. I left the screen door closes itself. I left the door open because the front door I left it ajar, whatever, and I walked right inside into the bathroom.
And what'd you do in the bathroom?
In the bathroom, I sat on the toilet.
Okay, so at that point, you were in the bathroom, you looked out the window. What did you see and what did you do?
From across the street, I saw movement first, and then I saw two individuals walking on the sidewalk across the street. One of the individuals started walking across the street towards the apartment, and he did a bit of a jog towards the apartment. When I saw that, warning signs and bells and alarms started running through my head. I tried to work my way out the bathroom to close the front door, but because I was so intoxicated, I couldn't really move. So I stumbled my way out the bathroom and made it to right where the bureau is at. Because I was so intoxicated that I couldn't do what I really wanted to do, I went in my pocket, I grabbed my phone, and I dialed 911.
The 911 call ended up being played for the jury, and Jose confirmed that it was Christine's voice in the background. However, he said that she wasn't aware of the two men approaching the house. And after that was when the fatal attack happened.
I got hit on the right side of my face. I lost my balance. I already had no balance to begin with, so I fell. I got on my floor and I got hit right around my chest area. I stood there, laid out on the floor, high. I'm listening, but I'm on the floor and I can hear that there's a struggle going on in the bed area. There's a fight. I hear screams. At the same time, I hear that somebody leaves the apartment. I see that somehow Christine got away from whoever it is that she was fighting with and tried to run out the apartment to go after the guy that left the apartment with Vanessa. The guy that she was struggling with was chasing her, but she doesn't get that far. Okay. She gets to in between the carpet and the tiles, she either tripped or collapsed. Half of her body's on the towel, the other half of the body's on the carpet. The guy that's running behind her stops and hits her with a crowbar. He gets up, he starts pacing. "Bitch, you scratched me." That's what he says. He hits her 2 more times.
And as for why he didn't do anything or maybe call for help, well, Jose said that he tried, but one of the intruders threatened to hurt his daughter.
I tried to do something, but I can't because I'm stuck. I'm PCP and I'm stuck. I couldn't move. I was in the verge of passing out, of blacking out on the PCP. So the only thing that I can do is scream. I try to scream, "Stop." He looks at me. He's pointing at Christine with the crowbar. He's looking at me. He said to me that if I call police, the same thing will happen to your daughter.
Did those words have an effect on you in regard to your conduct the next 2 or 3 days?
Yes, I was afraid to call the police.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what happened next.
Well, I got up, I stumbled my way into the doorway, and I looked to see where he was going. And I saw him go towards the corner. At the same time, I saw his headlights coming in.
I think the number one question that we all have, though, is why not call the cops anyway? If this was really true, and obviously it's not, but if it were, there is no reason why anyone wouldn't have called the police. And to make things even more maddening, Jose said that after these so-called intruders left, he dozed off on the bed for an hour or 2, just took a nice little nappy nap. And then when he woke up, he said that he just freaked out and started cleaning up the evidence. But the fact of the matter is, and this is really the prosecution's whole point here, why would you clean up a crime scene if you are not the person responsible? Riddle me that. No one would do that. But according to Jose, he just did it because he was in a haze from the PCP, that there wasn't really a good reason for it. He just wasn't thinking, and he was scared, so he started cleaning it up. And as for why he lied in the first place, we already know, we've already been over this. He said that it was because of the drugs. He couldn't remember afterwards. He had to wait till they wore off. And what's interesting about the way Jose's memory works is that he can't seem to remember what happened, but he was able to easily recall everything that didn't implicate him. And his defense attorney really, really tried to sell it. I mean, they gave it a good, honest try. And in the end, they argued that there just wasn't any evidence linking Jose to the murder itself. Sure, he cleaned up the crime scene, but that was it, according to them. They said there was a lack of intent, no murder weapon, and questionable evidence pointing to his responsibility. In fact, foreign DNA was found under her fingernails, and it wasn't a match to Jose. Plus, I guess surveillance footage captured a car leaving her neighborhood in the early morning hours after her murder, and that car wasn't Jose's, and they claimed that that was the car of the intruders. And lastly, the defense really emphasized that 911 call he made. In their eyes, why would someone call 911 before committing a homicide? And yes, I will say that part is strange, but Jose is strange, and I'm sure there is a reason that makes sense for that 911 call being placed. And I think it's really important that at the end of the day here, we remember that oftentimes the most obvious answer is the correct one. Jose was there when she was killed. We know this. He admitted to disposing evidence, and there was a documented history of his control and manipulation over Christine. He literally admitted to dragging her body from the hallway to the bathroom, undressing her, yet we're supposed to believe he didn't also kill her, not to mention the fact that he was coherent enough to drive to go buy cigarettes, but supposedly not coherent enough to call the police. I mean, come on, who is buying that shit? Also, let's not forget that Jose came and went from her apartment multiple times on that Sunday, and he could have gone to the police any number of times, and yet he didn't. And actually, according to his own statement, he continued smoking PCP, which, let me remind you, we don't actually have proof that he smoked it. We only have his word, and his word doesn't mean a whole lot, does it? And so in the end, the jury did not believe his word. And after only 2 hours of deliberation, they found Jose guilty of first-degree murder and tampering with evidence. And this was, understandably, a huge relief to her poor family, who finally got justice for Christine after years of waiting. But of course, it didn't take away their pain.
Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you for the opportunity to address the court. My name is Anna Radomski, and I am the youngest of 6 children. Christine Holloway is my first niece. Debbie, Chrissy's mother, is my oldest sister. My other sister, Kathy, died at 34 years old of lymphoma, and that was the worst day of my life. I didn't think I would experience another worst day like that. However, my beautiful, brilliant, kind, caring, spiritual niece was brutally murdered on 12/2/2019. How does one even begin to start to tell how this has affected my life as well as our family and friends? I would like to start with some background about Chrissy. She loved children, she loved her job, and taking care of so many adorable children at the daycare where she was employed. She was passionate and full of love. They say the worst pain is a mother losing their child. I watched my mom suffer through the loss of my sister, 34 years old, and now I watch my other sisters suffer through that same loss without Chrissy, and then some, with Vanessa still missing. In preparation for Chrissy's funeral, our family tackled it as a team. We each had a job to do, and my task was to go to the Gates of Heaven Cemetery and make the arrangements. As we drove that day, so many thoughts were going through our hearts and souls. Vanessa's still missing. When we arrived at the cemetery, we were welcomed by the staff with opening and caring arms. We had to ask them if there is a way they could dig the hole for Chrissy a little bit deeper in case Vanessa had to join her. Your Honor, how this murder has affected our family and friends cannot be described. What was done to my niece, Christine Holloway, is unforgivable and disgusting, and that monster continues to lie. Where is Vanessa? How could someone be so cruel? I hope that he stays in prison forever and ever, so he can't hurt anyone else ever again.
I swear that has to be one of the most devastating victim impact statements that I have ever heard, especially the part about her asking the cemetery to dig Christine's grave a little bit deeper in case Vanessa had to join her. And thankfully, Jose wasn't spared. When everything was said and done, a judge sentenced him to 65 years in prison. And considering he was in his 40s, this was essentially a life sentence. But we can't forget that this isn't total justice, and this family still does not have answers. Baby Vanessa, who would be 7 years old now, is still missing. And that's why it's important that we keep talking about this case. Jose has never been charged with anything related to her disappearance. However, he remains the only suspect, and he still denies having anything to do with it. And I mentioned it before, but investigators and family members do believe that it's possible that she could still be alive. And I have to say, I completely agree with them. I think there is a pretty good chance that she's still out there. And let's remember why. They never found any evidence that Vanessa was hurt. Out of all that blood that they found, none of it was linked back to her. And I'd like to believe that Jose is too stupid to hide her that well after all of these years. And I personally do believe that neighbor who claims to have seen Jose putting Vanessa into his car on that Sunday. And I think it was possible that she was then given to someone else. And what was really relieving to learn is the fact that their community really came together to try and find her, which I'm sure meant so much to Christine's family.
I just couldn't believe the amount of prayers and support from people all over the U.S. that don't even know us and, looking out for Vanessa. And the community of Aunt Sonia made flyers and was standing on every corner, passing them out to cars that were going by of Vanessa. Every store, had her face posted. I was blown away because you don't see that then or now, where people all come together for somebody.
Now, since those early days, investigators have said that the leads in her case have started to dry up, which makes sense with time, of course, but they have also said that they aren't going to let this case go cold. They're not going to give up. One lieutenant said, quote, "This is not a case that we're going to put in a box on a shelf somewhere. This will remain active until we get that answer." Their community has also continued to spread the word about Vanessa's disappearance, and I'm hoping that this episode will push her circumstances out to new people. There's a Facebook page that I will link below for you guys that I want to encourage you to follow if you use Facebook. They continue to post about Vanessa, and I know that they would absolutely appreciate an influx in following and support. So if you even want to leave a comment, just say something encouraging and kind. I have heard directly from a lot of families that really means a lot. NCMEC has created an age-progressed photo, and I'm going to keep it on screen here for a minute for my YouTube viewers because I really want people to be aware of what she might look like now. These age-progressed photos oftentimes are very accurate. When I visited the NCMEC headquarters, I got to see how they do it. The process takes a long time. They are extremely skilled, and so yeah, really try to soak in this image. There were rumors that she might be in Puerto Rico because that's where Jose was originally from, although that's truly just a rumor. And I just have to say, I truly do not believe that his parents are involved based on their reaction to the news. They didn't try to defend Jose at all. I really appreciate that. And as for Christine's loved ones, they believe Jose is fully aware of where Vanessa is, but don't have any leverage on him to get him to give that information up. And unfortunately, he really doesn't peg me as the type of guy who's going to suddenly develop a conscience and give her family those answers just because. I know they won't stop looking for her though, and if anyone out there knows anything, the $10,000 reward still exists. Like I said, I do plan on reaching out to their family to connect about getting them a HOPE grant, and maybe there's something we can collectively do to help. So if you want any updates on that, you can always follow Higher Hope's Instagram at higherhope.org. And lastly, before I go, I want to share that tips can be made anonymously via a link that I'll share in the description box and show notes of this episode. And you can also call the Ansonia Police Department at 203-735-1885 or NCMEC at 1-800-843-5678. Really, really tough case, but also really important. So thank you to everyone who watched or listened to this episode. I know that their family probably really appreciates you all taking the time to hear about Vanessa and Christine's story. That is going to be it for me this week, you guys. I will be back next week, but until then, stay safe out there.